Making this podcast, I realized I was doing the exact opposite of what I'm trying to express, what I had finally got in touch with. I've been putting pressure on myself, judging myself, and trying to present somebody I'm not. And the whole idea around this podcast, the approach, is simply evaluate, liberate, cultivate, and then iterate. So, evaluate. This is self-study. We're noticing ourselves, noticing how we feel, what thoughts are present, maybe where those thoughts come from. That's it. We're just noticing it. We're going to trace ourselves back. So in making this podcast, I was doing the exact opposite of what I'm trying to teach. And that's what's been holding me back from being able to speak specifically to a camera. The entire thing I'm trying to teach with the approach is evaluate, liberate, cultivate, and then iterate. We are just studying ourselves. As people, we tend to study our environment, study other people, study the entertainment at our hands. And as we have more and more externally, studying ourselves seems to be getting farther away. And I can tell in generations that come up. And this isn't a negative. We are creatures of evolution. But if we could now combine that with self-study, it is fascinating. The next step would be to liberate. So after you've evaluated yourself, and maybe you've noticed you've spent too much time on external, pick those externals. Pick one small thing, and let's liberate you from it. Not permanently, as practice, because life is nothing but a continuous practice. You know about the medical field, it is called a practice. So, after you've liberated yourself, we're going to move on. We're going to cultivate something. Maybe we can put something in its place. Anything small. Maybe you want to read for about 5 minutes a day. You've always wanted to read. You're always saying you're going to start, but you don't. Maybe try to put that in its place. These things are difficult, and they're more difficult than you think because your brain does form habits. And it likes the same path. It wants to do the same thing that's familiar. So after you cultivate it, we're going to iterate it. So that is forming the habit. And this is a continuous cycle of evolvement, of cultivating yourself, creating who you see yourself as internally or who you've always imagined yourself as. There is so many different techniques to each one of these processes, so much education behind each one of these processes. And that's what I'm here to discuss. And the biggest thing is I'm doing it myself. Everybody's always asking, Cassidy, what are you doing next? You're always doing something. You're always switching. Yeah, absolutely. That is the one thing that I'm going to consistently do, is I'm going to consistently change. Iteration is an infinite cycle. I have become a nurse. I've done it for 10 years. I have worked in a med-surg floor, ER. I've done clinic. I did contracts. I've done float pool. I've worked in float pool, you go to every floor. I've been in 2 different float pools. And I need something different. I have learned so much from that experience, and that's what I want to take with me. It's everything I've learned from that experience, from my life experience. I've had mistreatment in the past, and it had created dark habitual thoughts in my head, and I was living a life miserable, but it's a choice to be miserable. All you have to do is evaluate, liberate, cultivate, and iterate on everything. It works for absolutely everything. This is my core 4 that just expands. It is a practice. So let me evaluate. The one thing I was not doing that I wanted to do was this. I tried to do everything else to avoid this because I knew it'd make me uncomfortable. I've tried making candles and selling it with very sarcastic, cute little self-help, snarky names because I'm still trying to express the one thing I've wanted to express. I've learned yoga because I wanted a way to connect with people. And also that was one of the things I cultivated because I needed to replace some of the other things I was doing. I liberated myself and cultivated that in its place. And I thought that was my path. But after reading the philosophy of yoga, and it was lining up with so many other things that I've studied, I realized there's more to it that I'm offering. And the only way that I see I can express myself is by doing this. Because I'm constantly studying different avenues, different ways of terming things, different languages, different metaphors. And overall, let's look at mankind. Let's look at nature. What's the constant here? What's the one thing that's consistent? It's ever changing. It evaluates, liberates what does not serve, cultivates, and then iterates. A constant process of refinement. With me, I have dyslexia. I did develop negative thoughts about it, like most people. But I changed that because I studied it, so I evaluated it. And I've seen all the positive attributes it's gave me. And I've seen the negative. I know so many things and can visualize, but I couldn't verbalize. So the negative thoughts and the can'ts, I liberated. And then I cultivated. How can I? By learning and searching the things that I understood until I found videos on it, books on it, audios on it. So I would have more language and words to express what I understood. And then I iterated. I have PTSD. So I evaluated it. Our past or memories, they're engraved in our brain. The stronger the emotion attached to it, the deeper it's engraved and overrides other things. But then I liberated it. I still have that memory, but that's what it is. I still feel those emotions, but I watch them as they go by. I liberate them. And then I cultivated a different thought. I learned so much from that experience. It gave me a whole different meaning to life, a whole different experience, a whole different understanding. And I iterated that. And every time a new trigger comes up, and every time they have come up, I've done that same process. I've evaluated it, traced it back, liberated it, cultivated a different emotion and thought with it. And then I iterated. Since then, I was also told I have bipolar disorder. They did say it's kind of hard to tell because PTSD and bipolar do play on each other. Same thing that I did with dyslexia and that. So I evaluated it. I studied the negative, the positive. And when I say studied, you just don't understand. I obsessively study because that's one of the traits. I obsess. So once again, I evaluated. Yes, all these traits that come with it have a negative side. But if you can redirect and reframe it, they have a positive side too. So we're liberating that negative side and we're cultivating the positive side. And then we're iterating. It's not easy. It's actually extremely difficult, which is also one of the reasons I'm on here. Is because some people don't have someone in their life that's going to point out that you can do this. They're going to feed those negative thoughts. So they're going to iterate that belief. But did you know that bipolar is known as the creative's disease? Did you know that dyslexia is also known for creative? That's positive. Let's cultivate the positive. Let's compensate and liberate ourselves from the negative. Find what you need for the negative to redirect it. You're finding what works for you. You're evaluating yourself. And we're iterating. With self-evaluation, you have to come out of that seat of your emotions and your thoughts. You are not judging yourself. Nobody can judge you. You cannot judge anybody because we're all in the continuous cycle of evaluating, liberating, cultivating, and iterating. I am not who I was. I will never be who I was yesterday. I'm not who I'll be tomorrow. The past is the past memories. The future we've not lived yet. We don't know. We can't predict. You have to stay in the present and catch these things. So this is me evaluating, liberating, and cultivating and iterating. This is literally my process. I see lots. I understand lots. But I'm learning to articulate it. We are capable of so much more than many people know. But that first little switch is the hardest one. And you're going to fail. You have to learn to keep coming back to it. Evaluate it. You failed. Why? Liberate that. Cultivate how you're going to keep yourself on track and iterate. A constant, infinite cycle of refinement. But you have to start it first. And you have to find your resources. And that's why I try to keep it non-specific, is because this is a process you have to do for you. I'm just sharing experience and going to speak with others to share their experience. We look through very few lenses in our life, what was given to us. When you start this process, you will gain new lenses. Because I've went through what I have and have the traits I have, I have more lenses. I've had to learn how to look at things from different perspectives. I've had to become very aware of this over the years. And I'm thankful because I can usually understand what somebody's trying to say when they can't verbalize it. I have trained many years being able to speak to people to change their perspective in situations to give them that comfort. But I did not do it for myself. And that was one of the first things that switched it, is as I spoke to people, I started realizing that I'm giving them advice I don't follow. People would always call me for advice, always ask me, how do you know so much? How did you change the way I feel? Because I was always doing what I wanted somebody to do for me. And that's what I did. I took all that and I did it for myself. I had a girl who had a similar experience of what I went through. yet she was going to go back to the same mistreatment. So I kept telling her, I said, wait. I said, how about this? I want you to think of the one person you care for and would protect with your life. The person you love so much you couldn't stand to lose them. If they were treated that way, what would you do? That's how you should be treating yourself. And I wasn't doing that because I could tell people to, because it's not easy. We are external creatures. We are focused on everything else but our internal world. And I will tell you, like I'm sure most have heard, you are no good to anybody else if you don't fix your internal world first. You will eventually break, which is not always a negative thing. Breaking can give you a different perspective, and it can be that switch. There is so many different ways to experience this. And that's why I have the approach. There's different approaches to the same outcome. And we've been talking about this from the beginning of time through different languages, different understanding, different knowledge. We're trying our best to verbalize an experience that we had without the words and language to do it. Like I said, we've been doing this throughout time. Language, speaking, sharing knowledge through spoken word. Now we started writing. But the most profound way to learn is listening to the spoken word from another individual, because you feel their emotion behind it. You pick up on their body language. It embeds more. We've lost touch with spreading experience and knowledge through the spoken word. But now we have all of this. So it's time to get back to it. We have to let go of the past, work with what we have now, and let the future unfold. I invite you to subscribe and watch the process as I iterate, refine, and improve this. I promise you're not going to regret it. And if you do, what did you learn from it anyways?